As the version 2.6 banners have been officially revealed, I believe it's time to debunk the question that a lot of people may be thinking: should I summon for Venti or keep saving my primos until the Kazuha banner eventually arrives? To do so, I'll be listing the pros and cons of each character, as well as if they're a necessary unit for your account. Both Kazuha and Venti are incredible anemo supports that specialize in their respective roles, but a skill that they both utilize is the fact that they can take advantage of the 4-piece viridescent elemental resistance shred. Now, moving on from their similarities, let's talk about their differences, starting off with Venti. His first pro is his insane crowd control. It's common knowledge that Venti has the best crowd control in game. His burst essentially creates a black hole on your screen and just groups up all enemies, making it easier for you to completely annihilate them, all while taking up very little field time. You literally just pop 1 to 2 skills, his burst, and he's gone until the next rotation.
Venti's second pro is that he can act as an anemo battery for your team. Venti's playstyle is essentially an ult bot. You just keep spamming his burst, and it creates a cluster while pulling enemies into it and simultaneously generating particles for your team. Anemo main carries like Zhao would highly benefit from this, especially since he's so reliant on his own burst.
Now moving on to the cons, it is that Venti got indirectly nerfed by Inazuma. With the arrival of this new nation, there have of course been a lot of new enemies, and it's notoriously known that Venti is not able to group up the larger ones like the Electro and Pyro Samurais, but he's also not able to crowd control the smaller mobs like the Spectres. Although I do agree that this con is pretty huge, it's always changing, as the main piece of endgame content is the Spiral Abyss, and as long as if the mob lineup consists of small enemies Venti is easily able to group up, he's always going to be the most favorable and meta option. Now, let's talk about Kazuha's pros and cons. Now, moving on to the pros, the first one being the huge elemental damage boost. As Venti is known for his amazing grouping of smaller mobs, Kazuha is known for his elemental damage boost he can grant you and your team. If you're looking for a character that can group up enemies decently enough, while giving your allies a huge damage amplification buff, Kazuha may be the one for you and your account. Number 2, he's really fun to play. This pro is definitely more subjective, as your take on who has a fun playstyle varies from person to person, but me and a large portion of the Genshin community do believe that his skill that allows him to jump in the air, plunge back down, pulling nearby enemies into one area has got to be really satisfying. Also, his burst is incredibly beautiful. It's got to be one of my favorites in game, so by pulling for him, you'd definitely be in for a treat. As for cons, I've got to keep it 100% honest with you guys. It is that Kazuha and Sucrose both have similar playstyles. Kazuha's biggest downside is the fact that Sucrose, a 4-star, plays a very similar role to him in most team comps, and that is damage amplification. They both boost your main carry's damage and can decently group up smaller sized enemies. Overall, Sucrose can cover up most of Kazuha's specialties. At the end of the day, try not to fret over it too much, because these two are both amazing anemo supports, and this is just a general guide to helping you pick the better one for your account from a meta standpoint. If you personally enjoy Venti or Kazuha more based off of their playstyle, character design, or personality, I would say it's better to pull based off your personal enjoyment over the meta, because that way you'll most likely have more fun playing the game and will have less regrets. I hope this helps.